What are you doing? Well, what are you doing?
Just playing some games here.
Think you got a pretty good setup going on?
It's pretty good.
You got a nice gaming PC going on?
I like the 49-inch Samsung.
Here's the thing, I got something better for you.
Okay.
They got a better model.
I mean, this one's good.
I can bring you something better.
All right, let's see what you got.
I can bring you something better! 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 Bingo! 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 New Samsung Odyssey Arc 55. Whoa. Remote control. Power. The knob to navigate the display. Do you have a remote for your display right now? Like this? Didn't think so. Is this the greatest monitor ever? This is wild. This is an external box for an even greater array of inputs. One connect for that cable accessory, 4 HDMIs, LAN, optical audio, USB, which then creates a hub for charging possibly streaming devices or other accessories. Question for you. Your display do that?
I don't think so.
As far as peels go, whoa. Yeah, it's one of the best peels. It's worth it. There's a side peel too, look at that. Hard to even call it a monitor, really, because it's gonna be your TV, it's gonna be your monitor, it's gonna have all your sources going into it. It has a 4-speaker system, it's gonna be your music system. The most insane thing about this, so this stand is almost hard to believe. Everything seems off. It's like very Alice in Wonderland right now. And then it does that. This also still does this, which is probably what you would want to do. It brings the upper portion closer to your point of view. And if you have one of these chairs, check out this experience here. And you now have this incredible real estate. Now, what can you do with this display? And as you can see in this portrait orientation, there's a few different options. I can set up 2 screens, I can set up 3 screens, or I can do one large with a picture-in-picture. Now, for the purpose of this demo, I'm gonna do 3. I'll put the PC down on the bottom here in the screen 1 section, YouTube in screen 2, and let's do a browser in screen 3. What you're gonna notice is that it looks like a triple monitor setup. In reality, it's not 3 separate inputs. Instead, this is a smart monitor, which is using a separate YouTube app to supply the center screen, a browser app to supply the top screen. There's other inputs available to you, including AirPlay if you want to Apple-related device mirrored into one of these sections. You have Netflix and a variety of other apps, Twitch. But what you can't do, and what you aren't doing, is putting 3 separate HDMI inputs into these 3 separate outputs. Ideally, and what I think Samsung maybe through an update could hopefully do, maybe through an accessory or something, could introduce an option to have 3 separate HDMI inputs. This little box is essentially an HDMI switcher, but because we have high resolution, high refresh HDMI, we're going one cable from this box back to the monitor. In this type of orientation, I'm guessing that the way most people will use that is in a multitasking type of scenario. Would have their PC down here, that you'd be doing some work. You'd have your YouTube going and possibly your audio being pumped via the YouTube portion. You can select the audio output from any one of these screens at any given time. And this is why I think Samsung has given you this controller here to quickly cycle through, change sources. And you can see in the YouTube scenario, this is actually fast forwarding through the playhead, which is pretty cool. This little button there, which brings up a separate menu, or what they call Arc Dial Guide. And this is gonna give you access to monitor settings. It's gonna allow you to create custom sizing for different windows. It's going to allow you to go home to your multi-view settings, which like this is one of my saved multi-views, or to the game bar if you're in game mode, and that gives you quicker access to things you might be interested in if you're playing a game, refresh, performance, and so forth. This is what home looks like. You can navigate it again with this controller or just with the standard remote, a smart TV type of interface. It's gonna showcase some things to watch, as well as allow you to install other applications, things like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Apple TV. All this stuff is gonna work independently of your PC. So this has functionality without even having your PC running. So if you just wanna sit there and watch a bunch of Netflix, why have your big PC wasting power when you can just have the monitor, the display turned on its own? If I go to ambient, you can see there's also some nice visual ambient type of setups, kind of a wallpaper or background that you can just leave on in your space. There's a few different ones. Kind of a nice way to show off this insane display. Under workspace, here we have the ability to connect devices wirelessly. So even though we're only displaying one single HDMI source at a time, there's a way to get more computing on the display. You could have your PC input on one, and then you could connect a Windows PC, Mac, or you could use Samsung DeX in order to have another computing device occupying one of those other input slots. Now, this is an interesting one, the gaming section, where it seems like Samsung is kind of encouraging you to use a modern game streaming service and then connect and pair a controller, as you can see in the top section here. So whether it's via Xbox, Stadia, Atomic, or GeForce Now, they're saying, why even bother with a separate game console or gaming PC? You have everything built in, just connect a controller and go. So if I go ahead and click the same multi-view button, you'll see now there's quite a few more orientations. So if I go make my own, we can do a dual monitor, just left and right. We can do one big, two small. We can do 3 that are kind of evenly distributed. We can do 4 with 1 large, 3 little ones on the side, or we can do a quad setup, which I'll demonstrate now. So we can have the PC in the top left, Samsung TV in the bottom left. We'll do YouTube in the top right, and then we'll do an internet browser in the bottom right. And then you can also connect a mouse directly to the monitor, which would let you quickly move between your different inputs. But you can also use this dial to do the same thing and to make quick adjustments between various views. It's a really fast way of like moving between a variety of sources. It's really kind of a complicated task figuring out how to view 4 different sources at the same time. If you wanted to just have 4 HDMIs, you would need 4 cables going all the way to the display, but that's getting kind of messy, and this is meant to be moved and the orientation flipped and so on. And when you have the breakout box, now you have 1 HDMI going to the display, so now you need these other inputs, not necessarily traditional inputs, but instead like apps and wireless versions of inputs in order to populate these other screens. But then it's like, okay, well, if you have this mixture of wired inputs and wireless inputs and app inputs, How do you move between them in an effective way? And I think that's where Samsung developed this controller, or emphasized the need for a controller like this. Honestly, I think, as much as I'm sort of playing around and enjoying the multitasking aspect, I think the real appeal of this display at the moment is just having a tremendous, bright, beautiful, high resolution, high refresh display in full screen. And you sit as close as possible to it in order to almost create a scenario similar to VR without the need for VR. Let's go to single display mode and let's blast some video games on here. Will, what do you say?
This is great.
Yeah, it's great. It's next level. Like, it's kind of the holy grail of monitors. Look at the way he's sitting and how comfortable he is. And he can be at a distance, which would be impossible with other monitors because, well, they just don't have the scale. This intense curvature, bringing everything to like a comfortable position for him to see as he's playing. It's kind of the dream come true, where you want, obviously, the maximum screen that you can get, but there's always been significant drawbacks. Well, for one, they've never been optimized to be monitors. They've pretty much always been TVs first, with all types of processing and things going on. This one can sense the input, and in the past when I've tried to connect PCs to televisions, yes, some of them would have a PC mode, which would turn off a lot of that processing that would cause issues or lag and things like that. But this one, on the other hand, it's like monitor first, and then all the smart TV functionality, yeah, we'll give you that too. But as a monitor, it's functioning in a way that I've never seen a 55-inch monitor function. It's meant to be the holy grail for a setup. Granted, yes, he could flip it into portrait if he wanted to be even more insane. What do you say, Will? Can I flip it in portrait for you? Okay, so obviously this is a very unusual use of this, and we just so happen to have Halo installed on this computer, so we want to boot it up and see if it would work, and obviously it works, but like kind of squished in this way and then gaining in this way. There could be maybe some sort of game where this could work out or be cool. I don't know, maybe like a racing game or something. But this is more just to showcase the versatility and the insanity of this monitor. It's completely out of hand, and that's what's good about it. Like, that's, like I said, holy grail status. The monitor to end all other monitors, the monitor to eat all other monitors. It actually looks like it could just chomp. Will he do? Maybe that's what he wants. So there you have it. That is the new top tier, top dog status monitor, the holy grail of monitors. The Odyssey Arc from Samsung. Apparently there's a few deals if you want to pick one up and create the most insane setup for yourself. Those details will be in the description. And I'm gonna have to try to like yank Willie Doo out of there to possibly get some work done at some point. But I have a funny feeling people are gonna be fighting over this monitor. Good Lord.